This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Shalom Aleichem. Hope everyone's having a good day. We continue in the Sefer Devorah. We're in Parak Beis, and we are up to Hachamishas, the fifth way of emulating what is called Middah Kesser. We mentioned Middah Kesser, of course, is the highest of all the Middos, and therefore there are many phenomena of Middah Kesser. And as we've been doing, just to review, the first of the Middah Kesser is the Middah of Anivos, because it's always looking down and only looking to be mative. So it's in the position, the same way Middah Kesser is sort of positioned, focused downward. So the Middah of Anivos also dictates that one should always have a humble opinion. Number two, the second aspect of Kesser, of course, refers to one's thoughts. In one's mind, one should emulate the Middah Kesser, which is always, it sort of pre-exists before there's Midas Hadin, and therefore one's mind should be clear of thoughts of negativity. One's mind should be occupied with Gemilas Chasadim, and of course at all times one's mind should be occupied in the learning of Torah, like we said from Rabbi Cheskel Abramsky, that since he was 20 years old, he did not allow his mind to wander just to float around, but his mind was always focused on Torah. The third aspect of Kesser is the forehead. The forehead should not exhibit any Midas Hadin, but instead of the forehead should always be looking to show favor and to show goodwill. Yesterday we learned about the ears, that the ears should be focused on hearing only the good. And today we're going to speak about the Einayim. Hachamishas. Einav. Lo yistakel bohen klal b'shum davar meguneh. One should not gaze at all on anything disgusting. So I think this has many elements to it. We all know the importance of kedushas ha'einayim, of guarding one's eyes not to see anything inappropriate. For somebody to gaze at something inappropriate, it's actually a lav in the Torah, v'lo sasuru acharei levavchem yacharei einechem. And there are always a number of very interesting facets of the importance of guarding one's eyes, but we're going to learn a new one today. I think in the past we've mentioned that the Chassam Sefer quotes from his Rabbi, the Hafla, that a person has two sets of eyes. One is physical eyes, one is spiritual eyes, and the way they work is they're converse. In other words, the more you use your physical eyes, the less your spiritual eyes work. That's the concept that a baby in utero could see from one end of the world to the other. Because since his physical eyes are closed, his spiritual eyes are functioning properly. So whenever one encounters a challenge, a nisayon, a way to overcome that is to recognize that if somebody is able, so to speak, to look away and close one's eyes to something immoral, that will strengthen the Einei HaSeichal. And we've spoken out in the past how actually when one overcomes a challenge in terms of Shmir Seinayim, one is being Mekayim a mitzvah, and at a time of a mitzvah, it's a tremendous Eis Ratzain. And one could actually offer a tefillah at that time and say, Ribbanu Shalom, I'm overcoming this challenge. Please, Mispalel, help me in such and such an area. And it's an Eis Ratzain, similar to what the Chavetz Chaim says, that after we finish saying Berchas Hamazain, which is which is a mitzvah d'oraisa, so we ask Hashem, Harachaman, who you find a sin b'chavod, and who yimach chaleinu li'olam va'ed. Why do we daven? Because since we just did a mitzvah, which is mitzvah d'oraisa, whenever you do a mitzvah, it's an Eis Ratzain, it's an appropriate time to daven. That's what Rabbeinu B'chai says. When a woman lights candles Friday night, so she's mispala. Why is she mispala? Because she's being mekayim a mitzvah, and at that moment it is an Eis Ratzain. But now we're learning a new dimension of Shmira Seinayim. By the way, just another very powerful thought. There's a Sefer, Darkei HaTshuva. I think I have it here. Darkei HaTshuva was written by one of the Talmidim of the Ramami Pano. And he says an amazing thing. We know that in a Suma's Chashiv Kameis, a blind person is considered as if they're dead. So certainly if somebody could see and they choose to close their eyes and not to see something inappropriate, they're rendering themselves like a blind person, they're rendering themselves dead. And we know when a person dies, so it's mechaper all their avonos. So, if somebody has a challenge and a science to look at something immoral and they turn away, they're rendering themselves a summa, it's mechaper all of one's avonos. Well, you're making yourself a mess. But today we're learning a new dimension, and that dimension is that if one wants his eyes to emulate the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu do never gaze at anything inappropriate or debased or lowly. The eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu are always focused on taiva, on mitzvahs. So to speak, evil does not enter the purview of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if someone is challenged with an isayon, a person could tell themselves, look, I'm created in the image of Hashem. Just like the eyes of God, so to speak, only look at Dvarim Toivim, I'm not going to look at that. That's not something that I want to focus on. But by the way, according that this extends even beyond, let's say, immorality. Let's say you're walking down the street, you see, even if a man sees another man who's perhaps dressed inappropriately or is in a very presenting themselves in a very debased way. So, according to Middah, there's no isser for an ishta. Yeah, but still, this is a different concept. The concept is that you want your eyes to be utilized only for something moral, upstanding, proper, and even if this is not technically arayos, but it's something unbecoming. It doesn't matter what it is, whatever kind of picture it is. Sometimes you walk in the street, somebody's wearing a t-shirt that has lyrics on it or has words on it, and they're inappropriate. You don't want to look at that. You don't want to defile your eyes. You don't want to lower your eyes. That's the concept of emulating the Middah of Kesser with one's eyes. Amnam, tiyena tamid pekuchais. The eyes should always be open to do what? Lahashgiach, to oversee, ularachim, and to be merciful, al ha'amlalim, on the downtrodden, kafi kaicha, according to your ability. In other words, it's not enough just to help people, but you should gaze intently at their situation, which doesn't mean you should stare at them. It means you should focus and pay attention and can say, when you see the difficult state of afflicted person, don't figuratively seal your eyes. It means use your mind's eye to contemplate Allah. In accordance with your ability. And you should try to arouse mercy upon him b'fnei shamayim, before heaven. What's today? Ches Tammuz? What's today? Anybody know?
Yes, Ches.
Ches. I believe tomorrow is the yahrzeit of the Kloisenberger Rebbe. I had the zchus this year in Eretz Yisrael to visit his kever in Netanya, the first time in my life. And the Kloisenberger Rebbe, aside from being a great hero of Klal Yisrael, he was a great shepherd of Klal Yisrael, because I've heard clips when in the middle of his Megillas Esther, he would break down crying to try to be Melitz Yosher on Klal Yisrael. In the middle of Megillas Esther, in the middle of Shemon Esrei, in the middle of Slichos. This was one of his hanhagos, that he was always trying to defend the Jewish people. So, if you see somebody in a distressing situation, many times you're not able to help. You can't help everybody. You don't sometimes even have ways to help somebody else. But everyone could daven for another person. So use your eyes to contemplate the difficult situation somebody else may be in. At the very least, don't close your eyes, but think about it, at least to say, Ribbono Shel Olam, so-and-so is in a difficult situation. Please help him out. Uvifnei abriyos. And maybe you know somebody else who could help them. So this is all part of using your eyes l'toiva, to see good things. V'yisrachik mikol hashgacha ra. Distance yourself from noticing evil. That means like this. Sometimes you need to notice evil. If you're in a position where you could make it good, so that in a way is called using your eyes for the good. You're not noticing the evil because you have a desire to see evil. You'd prefer not to even notice that. But you're looking at it to be able to render it toiva. That's also considered using your eye l'toiva. But you should sort of, in general, look the other way. Rav Meir Chadash would say that in chinuch, it's enough to know, but you don't have to let them know that you know. You don't always have to be seeing everything that others do wrong. Why? Just to emulate HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kederach sheha'ayin ha'elyoina pekucha, just like the eye on high is open, u'mistakeles tamid el ha'tov. And always focused on the good. So here we have it. This is the fifth way of emulating the Middah of Kesser, to, so to speak, only notice the good. I remember one time when I was a bacher, I went with my grandfather to a certain shul, and I remember walking into the shul and feeling it was stuffy and cramped, and people were, schmoozing around. And I remember my grandfather told me, "Wow, what a warm environment this shul is." And I said, "Huh?" And that's exactly what this Middah is. There are different ways of looking at a situation. So the Middah of Einav is to notice the good and, so to speak, not notice the derogatory aspects of it. Okay, Rabbi Isai, thank you for listening. Have a great day, everyone. Shkayach.
Rabbi, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
So it reminded me of this.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.